Hello, hello, and welcome back. All right, we're going to give you just a few more minutes of break time. We're just coming back from a break. All right. Whew. How's everybody feeling? Feeling great? Oh, so far, this has been an amazing summit. I have truly enjoyed all of our speakers, our roundtable. This has really just been such an amazing journey for me putting this together. And I just feel so blessed. All of these amazing women coming in to speak and share. Um, just so powerful and so blessed, and just feeling such gratitude right now. Okay, CEOs, we're going to wake up your wealth right now. So, those of you coming back, let's jump in. Let's do a quick exercise before our next speaker. Let's go ahead and rub your hands together fast, really fast, as fast as you can. Right? Get them nice and hot. Get them nice and hot. And then place them over your solar plexus, or, right under your ribs. That's your power center. Breathe in and say to yourself, money flows when I stand in my power. And breathe out. I release the grip of hustle and I allow the ease of flow. Feel that heat. That's your nervous system, remembering it can hold more money, more clients, more peace, more calm, all of the things. So drop in the chat, what's the first thing you would do if an extra $10,000 dropped into your bank account tomorrow? We have just a couple minutes before our next speaker. Tell me in the chat, what would you do if $10,000 just magically appeared, or not so magically for us CEOs actually running our business, right? So you get your next $10,000 client, it's in the bank. What are you doing? Let's see. All right. Sarah says she would hire a camper van and take a trip with her husband and doggy. Love it. We're full-time RVers, so we sort of do this already anyway. But I can tell you, I love it, and I highly recommend. Highly recommend. Um, hire an assistant. My loving daughter and my assistant says, hire an assistant. Lori, I'd be hopping on a jet plane. Yes. That sounds good to me. Hopping on a jet plane. Where are we headed? Where are we going? What are we doing? I know yesterday at the roundtable we talked about, if you had 6 months, where would you want to go and work from and all that. And I said Italy, and Massey said Italy, and the next thing we know, we're like planning, we're all going to grab our passports and just travel Europe, forget just Italy. I mean, yes, we're going to go to Italy, but next, yeah. So we were planning out this nice big excursion for travel yesterday. So for myself, $10,000, that would be, I would go and get my sister an RV and move her into that and put her right next door to me. Um, that's what I would be doing with the $10,000 drop into my account right now. So, and since I know that's coming, guess what? Right. So all right, just a couple more minutes, and we're going to be hearing from Kate. Kate Allison, you're not going to want to miss her. We have just a couple more minutes. She's already in the house and ready to go. So get yourself, if you need to use the restroom, this is your last chance to do that, because you are not going to want to miss any of this. So get yourself situated, get yourself comfortable, get yourself some water, get yourself whatever you need, right? You never know. So be ready. If you need crystals to hold on to while we do this, that's cool too. If you just need, but you definitely want something to take notes. Okay. Definitely want something to take notes. I have heard Kate speak before. You are definitely going to want to take notes. She knows exactly what she's talking about. And she's got fabulous insight that you are not going to want to miss. In fact, Kate, I was so taken by Kate that I actually recommended her to my daughter, and my daughter hired her to work with her. So that tells you right there. I these women, I don't just say how great they are. I know most of them, although I've met just a few of them recently, but I know a lot of them, and I speak highly because they are worth being highly spoken about. These are impactful women who know their stuff and are ready to share it with you. All right, everyone. Sharpen those pencils and open your notes app because our next guest is all about transforming ideas into impact. I first met Kate Allison when we were both speakers at an event in Manhattan, New York. I know, fancy, right? I was sharing about how the unconscious mind is the real CEO driving your success. Because let's be real, if you don't rewire what's under the surface, strategy alone won't save you. But right before I took the stage, Kate spoke on how there's a book in every single one of us. Her message landed so powerfully, and the timing could not have been better because not long after that, I published my Aligned Manifestation book series. And it really it had everything to do with hearing her speak and her talking so passionately about how we each have a book within us that just absolutely should be shared. Kate is a book writing coach and editor who helps entrepreneurs finally get that book out of their head and into the hands of readers who need it. She's brilliant at making the writing process clear, doable, and most importantly, profitable. Today, she's bringing you her talk, Influence to Impact, 3 steps to write your business boosting book. And who couldn't use that, right? Again, trusted her so much, love her so much, had my daughter work with her. All right. So if you've ever felt the nudge to write a book, this is your divine green light. Get ready to learn how to craft words that change lives and grow your business. Hello, Kate Allison. Thank you for being here with us
Hello.
today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity and this whole summit that you've put together. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support and saying yes.
Yes.
All right, so I've got 5 questions, or excuse me, I've got some questions that I've been asking all of the speakers, so that we can get to know you and know your journey a little bit more before we jump into your presentation. So tell me, what inspired you to start your business, and what was the very first step you took to bring it to life?
So I actually started out my business as an online, as helping people create online courses. My background is in education. And what inspired me to do that was I started teaching English online, and I realized that I really loved working from home and I needed a way to make more money. So that was what inspired me to start. And then when I realized that what I really wanted to do was read books all day, that's what inspired me to pivot into doing book editing and book coaching.
I love that. I
Yeah.
realized I just wanted to read books all day.
Yes.
Well, if that's not a reason to do it, right? I mean, really, doing what you love, that's key. It's key. And if it's reading books
Yeah.
all day, then so be it. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So looking back, what was the turning point or breakthrough that really shifted you from starting out to actually gaining traction?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I think it was when I mean, I've been working quite a while and I work for individual clients, but I also do freelance work for companies that hire editors because
Oh,
there are a lot of companies out there that help authors who are self-publishing. And so I think it was when I first got hired and realized that, okay, yes, I really can do this consistently and make money at it. And you know, do what I love while making money, while helping other people too. I mean, that's crucial is I'm helping people get their stories out there, which then when I help someone get their story out there, we never know who their story is going to help. So it's like a domino effect of I get to help someone get their story out there and then they get to help others through their story. And you just never know where that ends.
Exactly. Ripples, right?
Yeah.
Creating those ripples. We were
Yeah.
just talking about that yesterday. Yes, about how everything we do, because you're helping, right? You're helping that person. They get to pass that forward and they pass that forward. And so even through the book, especially think about that. Like there somebody's going to pour their heart and soul after you've helped them, and then somebody else is going to pour their heart and soul into reading what you helped them create. So
Yes.
and yes, and it just keeps going from there. It's such an amazing way to impact the world, and books are with us forever, right? I mean,
Yes.
so
Yes, books have been around longer than YouTube. They're going to be around, 200 years from now, no matter what happens technologically.
exactly. They may
Yeah.
not be on scrolls anymore, but they're still
Right.
like this is books are for life, right?
Yeah.
So what was one of the biggest challenges you faced scaling, and what did it teach you about being a CEO of your own company?
Realizing that I only have so much energy and that, I need to recognize that and take on clients who are an aligned fit so that I'm not working with people who are draining my energy or people whose books I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, I still think that everyone should publish their book, but I don't have to be the editor for everyone out there who's publishing. And it's if that would be impossible.
Yes, no, that's one of
Yeah.
my favorite things to say is we are not meant to work with every single person because you imagine if
Yeah.
we were like what would your life look
Yeah.
like if we're supposed to work with every single person that came across your Facebook page, every person like so be careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You want the right clients. And it is so important to be aligned with your clients. So that is a
Yes.
very great point. To just take on a client just to take on a client, trust the rest of us when we tell you that is not what you want to do. I don't know about the rest of these beautiful women, but I've been there when I was first starting out and I was like, okay, I'll just pretty much take anybody that comes through the door thinking that that was the way to get it done. No, trust me when I say that is not how you
Yeah.
business. It will drain you. You won't want to even show up for the business that you loved yesterday. All of a sudden today, you're like, I just can't
Yes.
do it. I cannot do this anymore. And really, what it is you're just not in alignment with your clients. So that's really a great point to make.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, who or what kind of support made the biggest difference in helping you move from that challenge into success?
I would say, I mean, a lot of it comes from the inner work, but also the support of my family and friends, and the support of other entrepreneurs too. Seeing you publish your book, seeing other people have success with their books has been really motivating. And then also learning from them. And one of the things that I love about what I do is that I'm always learning because, every time you read a book, you learn something new. So every time I work with a new client, I'm learning from them as much as they're learning from me. So that's really fascinating.
Oh, I didn't even think about that aspect. That
Yeah.
is so cool. I didn't even like
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I thought about it, but I didn't really think about it in that way. And it like that is you get to see it before it's published. You get to see like what
Yes.
the inner knowings of like the workings of their brain and like all like so yeah, so you're constantly like inundated in all of this beautiful energy. So of course you really want to make
Yes.
sure you're aligned, right? Even
Yes.
more so. So now I'm better understanding the whole I need to feel it. I need to be into it in order to work with them because you're taking it all in because you have to read through it word for word and you're learning from it. And so it becomes sort of part of you, whether so you want to make sure it's good for you, right? Like what you're
Yes.
in.
Yes.
So okay, making a little more sense now. I totally understand now exactly what you were saying. All right, so tell me, if you could go back and give your earlier CEO self, like that brand new, getting ready to launch, give them one piece of advice about alignment, growth, or success, what would it be?
Trust yourself. You got this.
Straightforward and to the point. Trust
Yeah.
yourself, you got this. And yet I think a lot of us have been saying the same thing. It really and but I think it's important to keep saying it because I think a lot of people in our audience that are new, starting out, just starting to build, just starting to scale. I want you to know, like we've all dealt with that imposter syndrome. We've dealt with that non-belief in self. Some of it wavering, sometimes, some of it steady, some of it up, some of it down. We're there. We've been there. We hear you, we see you, and so no, like we know what it's like to say we don't just come blindly. She didn't just say just trust and go for it. Like she means that. Like we've we've all had to take that step. Just trust
Yes.
and go for it. So it's not a flippant response to say it. Actually, that's just
Right.
sometimes what it comes down to, because sometimes you're going to see imposter syndrome is going to creep in, the non-confidence is going to creep in, the clarity might not seem so clear in that moment. Sometimes you still have to just go for it, right? And so yes, trust in yourself and go. That is actually solid and beautiful advice. What
Yeah.
is one aligned practice, habit, or mindset that you believe every entrepreneur needs if they want to hit 6, 7, 8 figures without burning out? Without burning out.
Without burning out, that's the key. I think it's a mix of authenticity and recognizing that you can't do it all, so work smarter, not harder.
Yes, work smarter, not harder. I like that. Would you have a tip for us on working smarter, not harder?
Well, I think it depends on what your business is, but that can involve hiring outside help, or it can involve streamlining your processes so that it makes it easier for you to, like, one thing that I did was work with someone on getting my email sequence written, so that way that's something that now I don't have to think about when someone comes in for a discovery call. I know that they already know about me because they've gone through that. And
Beautiful.
I worked with Kim Roth to help me get that designed and get that running.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, having those processes in place, gold. Like,
Yeah.
this will ease your life in ways you can't even imagine if you don't have it done yet. But you just
Yes.
can finally settle and just work with clients and take and like do the fun stuff, as they say.
Yeah, recognize what you're good at and hire out when you can for
Yes,
what you're not. Yeah.
exactly. Yes. All right. Um, let's see here. So you've chosen to share Influence to Impact: 3 Steps to Write Your Business Boosting Book as your presentation.
Yes.
Tell me, why was this the piece you felt CEOs watching needed to hear most right now?
Because I feel like they need to understand that writing a book is possible, it is doable, and you have a story to share. Your story matters, and I want you to share yours.
Excellent. All right. Pens ready, vision clear. Kate is about to spill the secrets to writing the book that boosts your business. All right, let me share my screen here. Okay, it's actually working. Here we go. First time without a hitch. Here we go.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Influence to Impact: 3 Steps to Write Your Business Boosting Book. So, today we're going to start by talking about why writing a book can help you and how to know your why so that you stay motivated. Then we're going to talk about how to actually create your book map, which is going to show you what to write and where. And then we're going to talk about how to actually write your first draft and talk about your next steps about what do you do once the draft is actually written. I'm Kate Allison. I am a book writing coach and editor. I'm also a speaker. I'm the author of the forthcoming book, Lessons in Love, A Rescue Dog's Guide to a Joyful Life. I've been editing books since 2018. I love working with a variety of genres and authors. I especially love working with authors who don't necessarily believe that they can be an author because they were told by their 10th grade English teacher that they were a terrible writer. Or, I also enjoy working with people who have dyslexia or ADHD, other things that make it challenging to write. So I've edited over 40 published books with more on the way, and I love proving that anyone can be an author. So why write a book? Well, there are a number of reasons why people write books, and a book can really help you establish yourself as the expert in your niche. When someone reads your book, they're going to know, oh, this person is really an expert, and if they need your help, they're going to want to work with you, and you're not going to have to do the hard step of getting them to know, like, and trust you. You've already established that. A book can also help you get on stages and get featured in media, whether that's local newspaper or TV or even national. A book can also help you get new clients. Like I said, it helps you establish that know, like, trust factor so that people who know that they need what you have to offer, know that they want to work with you. And finally, another thing that writing a book can do is help you kick imposter syndrome to the curb, because we all sometimes feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm such a phony. If people knew that I didn't really know what I was doing, they would think I'm terrible. But when you write a book, you're not only proving to the world that you're an expert, you're also proving to yourself that you're an expert. So the first person that writing your book changes is you. So the first step to actually writing your book, and most authors miss this step, and this is a crucial first step, is knowing your why. Because your why tells you who you're writing for, what you're writing, and how your book is going to help them. And it's going to help you stay motivated. Writing a book is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So you need to know why you're motivated so that you can keep writing even when you don't feel like it. So there are 4 types of questions that you can ask. Number 1 is, why are you writing your book? Number 2, what are you writing? Number 3, who are you writing your book for? And number 4, how will your book help that person? So the first question is, why are you writing your book? So to answer this question, let's do a little exercise. Close your eyes. It's 5 years from today. It's now 2029. Your book is published and it is getting rave reviews. What has changed in your life in the past 5 years? What are you most excited about since publishing your book? Okay, you can open your eyes, and if you want to pause this and jot down any notes, that would be a great idea to help you stay motivated. And you can come back and do this exercise as many times as you need to, imagining, how will it feel once your book is published, and the best case scenario, everyone loves it. So the second question that you want to ask is, what are you writing? So first of all, what is the main topic of your book? If you're here, it's probably because you are a coach or business owner and you have some sort of expertise. So your book is probably going to be related to that. Your book may be based on a course that you have or a signature system. If you already have an online course, that can be a great start to a book. If you have a signature system that you use with your clients, that can also be a great start. And then finally, what do you want your reader to know or be able to do by the time they finish reading your book? That's going to help tell you the scope of the book. And that gets into, who are you writing for? Knowing who you are writing for will help keep your book focused. So your book could be geared towards somebody who knows nothing about your topic and they want to learn, in which case it's going to be a lot more basic than if you are writing it for somebody who already knows something about your topic and they want to take the next step. And think about, what problem is your book going to help them solve? What problems are they currently facing? And how is your book going to help them solve those problems? And remember, for all of these questions, there are no right or wrong answers. It's based on what feels best for you. Now, how will your book help them? So let's imagine that your reader has read through the book and implemented all of your suggestions. They've done all the work. What's changing in their lives? What can they do now that they couldn't do before? And what new possibilities are opening up for them? And if you're having difficulty thinking about, well, I don't actually know, think about your client success stories. Where were your clients when you started working with them, and where were they by the time you finished? That can be a good way to look at, okay, now obviously someone who works with you one-on-one is going to get greater results than somebody who just reads a book. But you can look at, what was the first win that your client had? And that can be something that you can focus on for your book. All right, so now that we've delved into why, let's delve into step 2 of writing your book, which is creating your book map. So this is going to help you organize your ideas. It's going to help you get everything out of your head and onto paper so that you know what you're writing. So a book is like a puzzle. Just like a puzzle, your book is going to have many pieces. And the first step is to identify those pieces. After that, we'll figure out where each piece fits. Unlike a jigsaw puzzle, a book doesn't come with the pieces already assembled. You have to, with the pieces there, you have to figure out what the pieces are, then assemble them. So the first thing that you're going to do is is what I call a brain dump. So this is literally where you're just going to get everything out of your head. So you're going to begin by identifying everything that you might want to include in your book. So this might include specific concepts that are related to what you're talking about, personal stories of how you discovered these concepts or how these concepts have helped you, true client stories, how have these things helped your clients? And then number 4, it can also include research. What research do you have that backs up what you're saying? And I don't want you to stress if you're like, wait a minute, I don't have that. Don't worry about it. This is just about getting everything out of your head. If you have something that you've read that you're like, oh, this would be a good thing to include in the book, make a note of it. And for now, you're not going to think about where each thing goes. You're just going to get everything out of your head. So you're going to set a timer for 10 minutes and list everything you can think of. I do recommend using pen and paper for this as opposed to typing. If that's not accessible to you, you can use talk to text. The reason for that is that writing things by hand activates a different part of our brain. And during these 10 minutes, I want you to keep writing. Even if something comes up and you're like, well, I don't know what to think of. I can't think of anything else. Literally write down, I can't think of anything else. Why am I doing this? What do I do? Until something will eventually bubble up. So the next step is to actually organize your thoughts. So for each thing that you listed, identify whether it is a concept, so it's an idea that you want your reader to understand. It's a story that illustrates one of those concepts. This can include a personal story or a true client story, or if it's research. And for best results, I recommend using sticky notes. I use 3 different colors of sticky notes. And I write my concepts on one color, my stories on another, and my research on another. So that way that I have it all organized. And then you want to look at what order do they belong in. So then I'm going to take all of my concepts and I'm going to put them in an order and I'm going to see if they make sense. And this is why I love using sticky notes, because you can move things around and play with it and experiment with it. So you're going to look at in what order do your concepts go? What does your reader need to know first before moving on to the next thing? And then next, look at your stories and identify which stories belong with each concept. Now, there are a couple possibilities here. You might have a story that you're like, well, I don't know where this fits. Or you might have a story where you're like, well, this can illustrate this concept, or this concept. Or you might have a concept and you're like, wait a minute, I don't have any stories for this. That's okay at this stage. Right now, we're just getting everything that you did in your brain dump out of your organized. So that's the purpose of this step. And then if you have any research that you've written down, look at what concept does it support. So now we're going to create your book map, and I'm going to give you a freebie where you can download the book map template so you don't have to worry about creating this for yourself. And your book map is going to have 3 columns. So the first column is going to be your concepts, the second one is going to be your stories, and the third one is going to be your research. So this is an evolving document, so don't worry about making it perfect. As you write, things will change, other ideas will come up. That is completely fine. So now, putting it all together, let's take your organized ideas and put them in your book map in the order that they belong. And now here's where you're going to look at, what's missing. Do you have a story for each concept? Because stories are how we learn. So you want to include stories to illustrate each of your concepts. Are there any concepts that your reader needs to know that are missing? You may have realized that you went from step B to step D and you're like, well, wait a minute, they also need to know this. Do you need to do any research to back up your ideas? And again, this isn't something that you have to do, but it does help lend credibility. And keep in mind, you do not have to have all of this before you start writing. You don't have to do all of the research before you can start writing. It's okay to just simply look at what you have and start writing with what you have, but acknowledge where things are missing. And then as you write, you'll come up with ideas. So then step 3 is actually writing your first draft. So here's where you're going to use your book map, and we're going to avoid staring at the blank page. Because when we see a blank page, we see that cursor and we think, oh my gosh, there's so many possibilities. And I know so many authors who they'll sit down to write for an hour and they'll type something out and then they'll like, yeah, I don't like that, delete, delete, delete. Then they'll type something else out. No, I don't like that either, delete, 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 delete. So the purpose of this is that we're not going to start with a blank page. We're going to use your book map to actually create your document and put a little bit in each space so that you know what you're writing where, so that you don't feel stressed about the blank page or feeling like you need to make it perfect. So the first thing that you're going to do is create a new document using, whatever you prefer. If you use Google Docs, Microsoft Word, whichever you prefer, and use your book map to create a heading for each concept. So that way okay, this concept goes here. And then under each concept, write a brief description of the concept, plus make a note of any stories or research you'd like to include with this. This can include research that you haven't done yet, but you can just make a note of, hey, I'd like to research this and find something to back this up. So let's take an example. So let's say you are a sales coach and you want to show somebody how to identify their ideal client. So the concept is identifying your ideal client, and then you're just going to write a brief description. So for example, your description could be, without knowing who you're selling to, you won't make any sales. Knowing the problems that your ideal client has and how you can solve them will help you reach your intended audience. And then make a note of any stories and research you want to include. So maybe here you have a story about a client who we'll call Jane and her transformation once she nailed down who her ideal client was. And maybe you want to research, when are people more likely to buy, so that you know how to reach your ideal client. So now that you have your book map, we're going to actually sit down and start writing. So you're going to set a timer for 7 minutes. Choose one concept or story from your book map. Once you start your timer, you're going to write out everything that you can think of related to that topic using stream of consciousness. Right now, we are not worried about it being perfect. Right now, all I want you to do is get words onto paper. And then when the timer stops, take a break and do this as many times as you need to for each item in your document so that you have something to edit, because you can't edit a blank page. So once you have the free write done, then you have something to work with and you can finesse the wording and everything after you've done the free write. And with the free write, again, I really want you to focus on writing the entire time. Even if what comes up for you is, I don't know what else to say, blah, 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 yada, 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 until something comes up, because something will come up, I promise you. And that's why we only do this for 7 minutes, because it can be challenging to do it for longer. Now, you may feel like after those 7 minutes, you may want to keep going, and that's fine. Or you may feel like, okay, no, I need to take a break. Or after those 7 minutes, you may want to go through and delete the blah, 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 I don't know what to write part, but keep everything that you wrote about the concept or the story. So now it's time to write your first draft. And the purpose of this draft is just to get your words out of your head and onto paper. So at this stage, all you're doing is writing. You'll edit your work later, so don't worry too much about making it perfect. And one thing that I want you to know about this is, whenever we read a book, we are reading an author's finished draft. It has been polished, it has been edited, it has gone through so many rewrites. So do not compare your free write to the books that you read, because then you're comparing your rough draft to someone else's finished product. And that's just not fair. I mean, even Stephen King writes more than one draft. So if Stephen King can't get it perfect the first time, neither can you, and that's okay. So at this stage, all you're doing is writing, and then you'll worry about editing your work later. So the goal of the first draft is really just to get your words out of your head, fill your document with the concept stories and any research that you identified in your book map. And like I said earlier, at this stage, don't worry too much about grammar. Don't worry about using precise wording. You can always go back and edit it. But for right now, we really just want to get it out of your head and onto paper. So what comes next? You've done all this, you have your first draft. What are the next steps? Because I know it can feel overwhelming to say like, okay, I have a draft. What the heck do I do with it? So I want to talk for a few minutes about what your next steps are to prepare for publication. So the first thing that you want to do is self-editing. So remember, in the free write, you just kind of wrote whatever came to mind. So now that you've done that, you want to go back and you want to clean it up. You want to look for, are you using consistent terminology? Are there words or phrases that you are overusing? Are you varying your sentence structure? Are there certain places where something is missing and you need to add something? Or is there a place where you went off into a personal story and ended up going out on a tangent and you're like, wait a minute, I don't need this. So those are the things that you're going to look for when you self-edit, whether there are pieces missing, if there are pieces that don't belong, or and then also looking at things like wording, sentence structure, grammar, making sure that the paragraphs are in the right place, that kind of thing. And then your next step is professional editing. I highly, highly, highly recommend hiring a professional editor. And I'm not just saying that because I am an editor. No matter how good you are at English, even if you were an English major, you need an editor. And I'll tell you, I'm an editor and I hired an editor for my book because I know that I have blind spots and there are things that I might miss. So I wanted to have an editor look at it to see if there was anything I was missing. And there are different types of editing. There's developmental editing, which looks at the overall structure of your book. There's line editing, which focuses on your word choice, sentence structure, transitions, making sure that you're using terminology consistently. And then there's proofreading, which is checking for grammar and spelling errors. And then there's formatting, which is basically making sure that the interior of your book looks professional. It looks like it could have been traditionally published. And then cover design, you really want to make sure that your book stands out. And then you also want to have a marketing plan. The best time to start marketing your book is now. If you know you're writing a book, there's no reason not to start marketing it now because you want to get excitement so that when you launch, you have people lined up to buy your book so that your book can reach that #1 Amazon bestseller status. Now I want to give you a little bonus here, and this is the magic phrase to leverage your book before you publish. And this phrase is author of the forthcoming book title. So if you remember in my bio, I included that I am the author of the forthcoming book, Lessons in Love, A Rescue Dog's Guide to a Joyful Life. And it's okay if your title isn't finalized yet. You can just put a placeholder in there. I had a couple different titles that I was playing with, so my bio changed, and that's okay. No one's going to remember what your bio said after you publish, so it's okay to change the title, even if you don't know for sure what the title is. If you have an idea, you can use that. So the phrase is author of the forthcoming book. And you can use this phrase to help establish yourself as an expert, to help get on stages and in media, all those things that writing a book helps you do. Saying that you're the author of the forthcoming book, it makes it official. It also forces you to actually plan on publishing your book because you've said you're going to. So I just want to let you know you can do this. Celebrate the small wins as you go along writing your book. And as I mentioned in the beginning, writing a book is a marathon. So you need to know why you're doing it and what's motivating you. It's not a sprint, it's not something that you're going to get done in a day, and that's okay. So take your time with this, enjoy, and remember your story matters.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, that was excellent. Let's see here. What do I have going on? Okay, let me get this all back together. All right. I love that I am the author of the forthcoming book, The Aligned CEO.
Yay!
So, oh my gosh, that was brilliant, Kate. Thank you for demystifying the book writing process. And it's a process, right?
It is, yes.
I know some future authors are fired up now. And don't forget, like she said, her other freebie, because that really was already a bonus given just that statement alone, because it gives you that expert quality right now versus waiting for the book to come out. And it gives you that little bit of, oh, I put it out there, I gotta get it done. Right. So,
Yeah.
but she also has another great bonus for you inside of Bunny's Blessing Box that you can grab along with all of her links so that you can connect with her if you want to get your book done. Kate is the person you want to reach out to.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Kate. I appreciate you. I know the audience does as well. We are going to have you on replay. We're going to have you on the podcast in the fall. I mean, I really am looking forward to seeing and hearing about all the books that you help put out into the world. I know, like you said, 40 already, right? Has that number
Yeah.
gone up since you did that?
It has, yes, yes, I recorded that a while ago, so it's now over 50. So,
Wow.
yeah,
See what yes,
yeah,
amazing. So
yeah.
you are really you're changing the world through words, through books, through I mean, and what something I like to refer to as like a lost art, actually, reading a book.
Mhm.
At least that's what it feels like it's coming to, like it's some sort of lost art.
The thing
But
is the people who like to read, read a lot,
they
and
do.
there are quite a few of us, so
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
All right. Thank you again. It has been such a pleasure. And I'm so grateful for you coming and saying yes and just sharing with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. It is now time yet again for another break because I want to make sure that we're getting up, moving. We want to make sure you're hydrated, right? We talked about that earlier. Water, 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 water. You want to get those juices flowing, get that brain churning so you can write that book. You got to make sure that you're staying hydrated, taking care of your body, getting out in the nature, all the different things that our CEOs have shared with you so far. Every single tip is just one more thing to helping you become the CEO that you want to be in mind, body, spirit, energy, all of the things, right? And that's what I love is that we have all of these different speakers coming from all different walks. But yet, so many of us are saying so many of the same things. Believe in yourself, trust in yourself, step out. We've all dealt with things like imposter syndrome. So you are seen, you are heard, you are known here at this summit. Okay. And we look forward to sharing even more with you when we are back from the break. This time, though, before we actually head to the break, let me check the schedule really quick so that I tell you when we should actually be back instead of doing what I did earlier and rolling the dice and being wrong. All right, so it looks like our next speaker is up at 1:10 p.m. So we have got about what does that make? About 20-minute break because I'm going to come back with you just a few minutes beforehand to share some things with you before we jump back into our next speaker, which will be Renee Coster. So stay tuned, go take your break, get yourself, like I said, move that body, get that energy moving so you can get yourself back up and ready to go, listening for more. Make sure you've got your journal, your pens, make sure you've got something to drink, ready to get comfy, ready to get cozy, and ready to listen to our next speaker. See you in about 20 minutes.